Welcome to episode 1 of Soul Conversations with Jenna.
And Patty.
We are so excited to have you here listening today. Interesting story. Patty and I haven't known each other too long. We actually met not in person yet. COVID has been so funny. It's been very stressful and all of these weird things going on. But the good part about it is I've created so many awesome virtual friendships and virtual connections. And we met in a program to become women's guidance facilitators. We're so excited about that. And now here we are hosting a podcast together.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a very long time. Not that anyone would ever want me on their podcast, but why not? Let's just create our own podcast at this point. I love to talk. I love to talk about anything soul conversations. Um, Jenna.
Yeah.
How this came about was so synchronistic. It was pretty crazy. And we're going to be talking a lot about the universe and sort of spirituality and like just everything mystical and esoteric in the world, everything that we love to kind of dive deep into and dig deep into. So sit back, relax, and kind of just join us and enjoy the show and enjoy sort of how we evolve and how we grow into sort of what this is going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd kick off the show and sort of get to know each other while you get to know us. So we are going to probably start off and just share a little bit of our own spiritual journey and how we came about, this path that we are on now. And then we're going to have a fun, what's that game we used to play when we were kids? 20 questions.
20 questions.
We'll probably play a round of 10 questions. Awesome. So I'll kick it off. My spiritual path or journey started in a very popular way. If you talk to a lot of people, you'll say, "So how did you get started on your spiritual journey?" And they'll say, "Oh, a karmic relationship." Ding 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 ding.
Ding, ding. Sounds about right.
It's the at least in the top 3. So I was in a karmic relationship, and it was kind of one of those moments, one of those seasons in my life that allowed me to take a hard look at myself and just realize that I deserved more, that I wanted more, and it really made my whole cycle visible. I realized I had been going through the same cycle over and over and over again and attracting the same person and the same people, and not even as far as a relationship, just people that I had in my life in general. I realized that I was living a life that I didn't want to live anymore, that I wasn't respecting myself, that I wasn't drawing boundaries for myself. And it really woke me up. I see where the word awake comes from, because I literally feel like I had woken up from just this different life. I was living in this completely different reality. And the story's quite funny. The person that I was dating was, not, I don't want to talk ill of anyone on here, but, not the best guy. And one day my whole family was up trying to console me and comfort me. And I just needed to get out of there and get some air. I got in my car and I started driving. Just to preface this, I come from a very religious family. I was not allowed to go to psychics, not allowed to play with crystals, not allowed to get involved with anything esoteric. I somehow ended up at this crystal shop, just crying uncontrollably. And the lady comes over to me and she's kind of trying to push me out of the store because I'm slightly causing a scene, but also a little bit concerned and asking me what my needs are. And I had a little bit of an idea about crystals and what they offer. So I just told her point blank, I need something for protection, please. And she sent me in the direction of their protection crystals, and I grabbed a few that I felt drawn to. And I just remember going home that evening and reading the little paper and, setting my intention and putting those crystals under my pillow. And when I woke up from, gosh, probably a 14-hour nap, it was like everything just ceased. There was no threats, there were no more calls, there was no more drama, and I felt so at peace. And it was in that moment that I knew that there was something to this. And I became very diligent in my journey to discover myself and to see what this spirituality thing is all about. And it's been interesting trying to navigate this path and coming from a very religious family that believes that anything from outside of what they believe in is not true or evil. But here I am, and it's been such a journey. So I'll let Patty chime in a little bit and talk about her journey, and then we'll meet in the middle.
It's interesting because the universe really brings people in your path that understand, because your path and my path are very, very similar. We come from very religious backgrounds, Catholic raised, born and raised, and I went to Catholic school most of my life. So that was sort of what I grew up on. And my spiritual awakening happened 10 years ago. And it was a karmic relationship, but it was also during my Saturn return. And for all of you who don't know what Saturn return is, just Google it for now, because I don't think we have time to really go into that, but it really will shake you up, tear you down, and make you really face you. I was in a relationship and I wasn't happy. We weren't happy. It was just one of those relationships that we kind of felt like we had to be in that relationship, because we kind of went through the process of being together for a few years, getting engaged, and then kind of we had an engagement party. And I won't go into, I think relationships will be another episode, because I won't go into sort of what happened, but we broke off the engagement. I left and I went through this whole period of darkness. That's all I could really say. It was a period of darkness. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. I was in so much pain. My heart was hurting. I don't ever want to say I was broken, but that's what it felt like. It felt broken. Didn't know where to go. I actually went down the path of from Catholicism to Christianity. My spiritual awakening actually went through that whole religious kind of phase, where I actually went from one religion to another, because I resonated with it at that time. And then after that, I kind of needed something a little bit deeper. I think that was just sort of surface level of getting to know myself and getting to know God. But then I was looking for something a lot deeper. And then that's when I started getting into meditation. I started getting into crystals. And then I met one of the girls I worked with. We were talking one day about spirituality, and she was like, my friend is actually a spiritual coach and she wrote a book. And she was like, I think you really like the book. And the book is called Meet Your Soul. And the book is basically teaching you how to tap into your inner wisdom and your highest self, which is basically your soul. And from that point on, I really truly built this relationship with my soul and my inner, sort of what we call our inner divine feminine goddess. And she's helped me through a lot. I will say I went through 2 karmic relationships, because Patty didn't learn her lesson the first time. So if anyone resonates with that, talk to me, because we can share. But I went through another really, really, really painful, toxic, abusive relationship. I actually got married to that person. But that really, if the first spiritual awakening was not enough, this was really the depths of my darkest, darkest, darkest days. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago that I had to take accountability, because how did I even manifest or attract 2 karmic relationships in one lifetime? How crazy is that? So that's when I decided, okay, well, I need to take radical accountability in this process, in this healing process. And when I did that, the minute I created an intention to take radical responsibility to my healing, everything shifted. It was about 1.5 years ago that I left, and I have changed. I am not the person I used to be. That person is no longer. This person that you're seeing in front of you went through the healing, went through all the deepest, darkest recesses of my heart and my soul to really dig deep and find me again. And this spiritual journey, this path, this mysticism, this esoteric things that we talk about and listen to and learn, it's been such a magical, magical, magical ride for me. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we could talk about that all day long. And that's why we're here now, talking
That
about
is
it.
why we're here. Yeah, I mean, gosh, this journey, it's crazy what you said. You know, once you go here, like there is no going back. You are not the same person anymore.
Mm-mm.
And it's such a responsibility, but at the same time, where am I trying to go with this? You're kind of in this different reality now, you know? And so you definitely start to notice people who are on different vibrations and different frequencies. And you know, it really does shift. And that's why I think manifestation is really important, because for a long time it took me it was very hard for me to understand how manifestation works
Oh
and what is it.
yeah.
But the more that I see and realize my ascendance, I realize that I am inviting situations and circumstances based on where I'm at, you know? So there's low vibrational experiences and circumstances and people, and then there's high vibrational experiences and circumstances and people. And then it helped me, it clicked. That's why I was living that life and inviting in all of those things and suffering
Yeah.
with depression and anxiety and, you know, and now this is why my life is flourishing and why I'm building amazing relationships and learning to lead my life with intention and to value people. It's so important. And as you raise yourself up, you really invite that quality of experience and people into your life. It's so important. And it's difficult when you see people who are still kind of asleep. And the more that you raise your vibration, everybody else does kind of start to look like zombies. You just want to shake them a little bit. But what I've learned on this journey is it is not our responsibility. Of course, we have a responsibility to uh,
Plant seeds.
yeah, but it is not our responsibility to wake people up. It is our
Yeah.
responsibility to hold our lights, because
Yeah.
what we pour into ourselves, we pour into the collective. And
Yeah.
what everybody pours in the collective affects all of us as a whole. And I think that's where I talk about the responsibility. When you realize that everything that you pour out into the world has an effect on everyone, you're like, whoa, that's deep, you know?
Yeah. And that's when you know that everyone is really truly interconnected.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to the vibration piece, it took a very, very long time to really peel the layers of understanding that piece of it. Like, I mean, you hear, you know, Abraham Hicks talk about vibration. Make sure you're, you know, law of attraction always talks about you have to be in the same vibration. You're like, what does that even freaking mean? And you really have to go the process of being in the lowest vibration to understand what the highest vibration is. It's the whole duality thing where, you know, we have to experience, you know, this side in order to experience this side of it. And it took me a very long time after this relationship. It took me a while to really understand that I was the reason why I was stuck in that programming. I was stuck in that paradigm. It's a shift in paradigm, right? So I was stuck in that paradigm because in my head, I kept repeating the same exact story and kept myself in a lower vibrational state by keeping that story in my head. It wasn't until I left that I finally realized that. And that was sort of that healing journey, that healing process of aligning my vibration with whatever I wanted. And the funny thing about that is the minute that you look within to have that deeper connection with your authentic self and your inner soul, that's when you start raising your vibration, because then she illuminates your path. She illuminates everything that you need to heal, and she illuminates everything that you were missing out on when you were in that old paradigm. Like, it's really about bringing more bliss and just things that you love, things that make you happy. You know,
Mhm.
it's easier said than done, that's for sure. I mean, this whole spiritual journey, if anyone, like if anyone ever goes down this path, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And we've talked about this. It is a hard path to follow, because you really have to dig deep within and do your shadow work. Because when it comes to manifestation, and I truly believe this because I've seen it, we manifest all day long. So we can manifest bad things, we can manifest good things. But what happens with manifestation is if you want something, right, you have to align your vibration to it. But there's all these things that are telling you you are not worth that, or you don't deserve that. So then we have to look at the fact that, okay, why do I think I'm not worthy? Why do I think I don't deserve it? So it's just a literally a layer by layer process of just unearthing and digging deep. And you know, it's an everyday choice. We get to choose that for ourselves. And I honestly will choose this path every day for myself, knowing where I was, so knowing where I am today. And I feel like there's so many conversations that could be had around all of this, because we're like summarizing it right now, but it's really, I mean, the process is beautiful, but there have been days that I have been desperate in sadness and loneliness, because you really have to feel your feelings. That's what it means to feel your feelings. You sit there in a dark room and you close your eyes and you feel whatever it is and you let it pass. And you kind of just say, you surrender to it. You basically surrender to the healing, you surrender to what comes up. And then after that, you're like, oh, I, okay, I understand where this is coming from now. I understand what this feeling is, and I understand now how to process it. But again, it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes a really good therapist, um, a really good spiritual coach, lots of reading, lots of soul conversations like this with people who have actually been down this path. And I think one of the intentions that I really loved about what we're doing with these soul conversations is that when we were on this path, I mean, you just so happened to go to like a metaphysical shop. I mean, 10 years ago, there was no, I mean, I know Abraham Hicks was a thing, and I know, there's all these sort of thought leaders in this space, but there was no outlet for us to be able to see them or hear them, because YouTube was still up and coming, Facebook was still up and coming. I mean, I'm aging myself, but there really wasn't, like, Instagram wasn't even a thing yet. Like when I started this process, and like I really had to research and dig deep, and like a lot of times I just kind of didn't know what I was doing. I was lighting a candle. I mean, so this is my altar back here, but like, it took a long time to get to this place of learning and understanding what works for me. So,
And I just want to go back to feeling those feelings.
yeah.
That's so true. I am someone who, prior to this awakening, to this transformation, I did not talk. That was what was Jenna. Let's talk about Jenna and her. Let's line up all of her ex-boyfriends, all of her friends, and they would say, Jenna does not talk. I would hold in everything, suppress everything. And then, not being a healed person, I would explode. I'm an Aries, by the way. So the fire would come
The
out.
fiery
And I
signs,
would
yes.
blame everyone. It was your fault. Nothing's ever
Mhm.
my fault.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to deal with the feelings. I didn't want to feel them. I didn't want to experience them. I didn't want to go there. It felt scary and unsafe and vulnerable. And I just didn't want to do it. But I realized I'm not creating, everything was so surface level. And I wanted love, but I didn't understand what love was because I wasn't even giving that to myself. And it's so interesting when you go back and you realize, just how far away you were from love,
Yeah.
from love. And now I love feelings.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
love
yeah.
sharing, and I love to talk about it. And that will really shift your whole reality, that in itself, because not everybody is going to appreciate that. And it's one of my love languages now. Like, let's just get deep and talk and share and have that, open up our heart space and have that deep connection. That connectedness is so addicting and beautiful, and it's something that I desire and I value and I want so badly. And I just want to create that with everyone that I encounter. And not everybody is ready, but
Mm,
never again will I
definitely.
just hold stuff in and suppress, because that is how we connect deeply. And we live in this world where we kind of stay on this surface level place, and people will never tap into each other. And I really hope we can move away from that, because there really is so much beauty and connectedness.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, you were scared of being vulnerable. It was, it was, you were in discomfort. But here we are past that in a different paradigm where we are being vulnerable. I mean, this is the most vulnerable thing I've ever done. Like, I told, and we had talked about this, like, my intention for this is to be as vulnerable and as open and as wide open as possible. I mean, I'm an open book regardless. Like, my friends know me as like someone who just kind of says what's on my mind and my heart, but this is going to be a lot deeper than just that. I'm going to tell you that much. Like, I feel like, you know, having been part of the Sacred Sister Collective, like, I feel like that was my first initiation in really being vulnerable in front of a group of women. And that connectedness that we have is more than I've ever experienced in my entire life as far as friendship. I feel like I have friendships, and I have friendships that, you know, we've known each other for years, but like, I don't think I've ever gotten as deep as I have with you guys. And we haven't even met. How crazy is that? Mm-hmm.
I love it though. I love
Yeah.
it.
But
Same.
what I wanted to say actually was, there is such a thing as this is the one thing that I learned throughout this process, is there is such a thing as spiritual bypassing. There is such a thing as toxic positivity. Because when I first started this journey, that's what I learned. I learned affirmations, and I learned, you know, affirmation journaling and like gratitude journaling and all these things that, if you're feeling down, just think of a positive thought, which is still, I think, really, really great in the process. But that's all I was doing. I was not digging deep. And it was a total spiritual bypass. And when I finally went deep into shadow work, that's when I realized how surface level that spiritual awakening was in the beginning. And this one has been just digging deep in vulnerability. And one of my coaches actually said something interesting. I was like, there's this sadness in my heart, there's this loneliness in my heart, and I was like, I don't know how to remove it. And she was like, you do realize that behind that loneliness and behind that sadness is the love that you're looking for. And the minute she said that, I was like, whoa. it
Oh,
was like a it was like a mind-blowing moment, like emoji mind blown, like paradigm shift of, I get it now. And that's when I decided I need to sit with my feelings. I need to really feel into it and understand where it's coming from.
yes. And God, does it feel good? It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And then it feels so good. Yeah, I've been just shedding in 2020 more than ever.
Yes.
And it has been literally painful, but so good at the same time,
Mhm.
because it's this realization of how you stand in your own way. And spirituality isn't just for, I have a lot of people ask me, and I'd love for you to speak on this as well, Patty.
Sure.
But a lot of people think, oh, well, if I want to go on the spiritual path, do I have to get into the crystals? And, do I have to do these rituals? And do I have to do this practice? A lot of people think that it's very much intertwined. And if you don't play or experiences with these things, then you are not spiritual.
Yeah.
And I think spirituality is just, it's the journey of you. It's a remembrance, remembering, the person that you are in your most pure existence. And before our beliefs got distorted, before we became programmed with what society pushes us to believe, but who we are. And I would love to hear your thought on that, Patty.
It's funny. That's actually one of my questions for you. What is spirituality to you? So you answer that question. But actually, I would love to answer that question because I kind of feel like it's a necessary question to answer. At least, again, we're not here to try to put our beliefs on anybody, but
Mhm.
this is sort of what my experience is about spirituality. One, I think religion and spirituality are not mutually exclusive. I think they go hand in hand, because at the end of the day, there is a lot of similarities. And if anything, a lot of religion is based off of spiritual ideas and ideologies. Um, one of the other things is spirituality is not linear. You can't put spirituality in a box. I think what tends to happen is people think that, oh, I have to be into crystals, or I have to be into ritual or candles or whatever, but it's really not. It's really what's with in resonance with who you truly are. And to me, spirituality is the soul path to love, right?
Mhm.
It's really, as you said, going deep inside to really unearth our most authentic self and have the relationship with our most authentic self. And whatever resonates with our authentic self is what's going to come into our life.
Yeah.
And it's really about resonance. And if you don't feel like crystals are your thing, then it won't be. It's the same thing with certain ideas, certain, I see quotes all the time from Wayne Dyer and like Deepak Chopra, and I see like they're inspiring quotes, but like a lot, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I don't understand it. But then I will tell you, 6 months down the line, I will look at that same quote and go, I totally get it now.
Yeah.
Because it is a layer by layer unraveling of the truth.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, exactly what you said. And there's always this thing that's in common with these. So my two favorite books, I'm going to name my two favorite books. And it sounds so cliche, and I like to be different, and I would so bad want to come up with a book title that no one's ever heard of. But I mean, these books are bestsellers for a reason. So
Yeah.
number one, I'm sure most people have heard of it, Awaken the Giant Within. I mean, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. I feel that
I
he
never even read that book.
truly put it on your list. Put it on your list.
Okay.
It is probably one of the most transformational books that I've ever
Mhm.
read. It is my life's dream to go and attend one of Tony Robbins' events. And,
Yeah.
he's been doing his virtual events because of COVID, and
Yep.
it's super cheap. And what an opportunity. But I have made a point to go and see him live. So I am holding out to go and check his.
Manifest it.
I am. But it just really forces you. It's very confronting, and it teaches you to look in the mirror and take a hard look at it at yourself, and to see where you're standing in front of your, like where you're in your own way.
Mhm.
And I just loved it. It gave me that opportunity to be very honest and say, this is where I'm holding myself back and why, and to make a change. And then the second book is The Power of Now by Eckhart
Oh,
Tolle.
Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is just amazing. I would really love to go and attend one of his talks as well.
Yeah.
And his, it has more of a, it takes you into meditation. And I'm someone who really loves meditation, and it works for me. And I used to kind of, not like Jehovah's Witness it, but I would try to encourage a lot of people. Dang it. All right, guys, we lost connection for a minute, but we are back. So it happens, the internet. So yeah, I was talking about Eckhart Tolle and just how much he has made an impact in my life. And I would really, really love to go hear one of his talks one day. And he's really gotten me more into, help me realize the real benefits of meditation. And
Mhm.
although I love meditation, I was saying earlier that I've kind of been like that Jehovah's Witness, saying, you got to try meditation, you got to try meditation. That is me. I have recently discovered this scientist. I can't remember his name. I think
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
no, not
Oh.
Joe Dispenza.
Okay. Well, Dr. Joe is amazing. I love him. I read his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. That's actually changed my paradigm a lot.
I
And
love
he's the reason why I totally understand now when they say, when you try to manifest something, you ask, you believe, you receive. That
yeah.
whole ask, believe, receive thing. They're missing a lot of steps, by the way, with the law of attraction that they didn't tell you. But he was the one that got me to understand what it meant to really truly feel having it.
Mm.
Because there are days when I put myself in just a space of love and gratitude. It doesn't even matter what I'm trying to manifest. The fact that I'm in that space of love and gratitude, I literally feel an energy vortex coming through my head and into my heart space. And I just can't help but smile and
Mm.
just be in that state. And it's so beautiful. So, anyway, what was the scientist's name? This one is Dr. Joe.
Okay, you can
Love
talk
it.
about Dr. Joe as much as you want. I love Dr. Joe, and I think he does a beautiful job. Like you pointed out to me, he bridges the gap between science and spirituality
Yes.
such an amazing way, and I think
Mhm.
that's very important. And I think we need to find ways to bridge the gap between religion and spirituality as well. But Andrew Huberman is his name, and I don't really know where he stands on the spirituality side, but he is a great scientist. And I was listening to him on Whitney Cummings' podcast, and he was talking about how just not everybody is built for meditation, and that
Mm.
is okay.
Yeah.
But just from how we are built as humans, for some people who just are a little bit more hyperactive and they can't sit still, because for some people, meditation can have a negative effect because you're sitting
Mhm.
with your thoughts. And if you have not yet gotten to that place where you know how to change your narrative quickly or change the story, meditation can cause some people to just go down the rabbit hole of darkness. So, what do these people do? Well, he was explaining that there is something very, I don't know if calming's the word, but we'll use calming, and that animals do this as well. You use your body, you put your body in a forward moving motion where things are passing in your peripherals. So, not driving, but perhaps going for a walk where people are passing you and cars are passing you. It causes some switch, and I'm using very poor verbiage, but it causes some kind of switch in your brain that puts you just in this state of meditation and relaxation.
Mhm.
So, for those of you who struggle with meditation and you're like, this is a load of baloney, it doesn't work for me, that is okay. There is nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
There is a way. So try going for a walk.
Yeah.
Um, you can go get in a canoe and paddle in the water where things are just kind of passing you. You can go for a run. So, don't feel guilty or shame if your friends are saying, something's wrong with you because you don't know how to meditate. We're not all the same, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think there was a point where I was, kind of like, meditation is great, do it, do it, do it. But then it's true, like, not everyone resonates with that. And again, it's about resonance, it's about what feels right for you. You create your own path on the spiritual path, and whatever it is that you align with is what you can open your heart to. I took a philosophy class, and in the philosophy class, they actually don't meditate. They do basically what you had mentioned, where you just kind of sit still and observe. And he goes through a process of observe a color, and you start to observe a color. And he goes, okay, now observe a sound, and you observe a sound. And just by doing that, takes your mind off of whatever it was that you were already kind of thinking of, and to-do lists, and like where you have to be, where you have to go, what you have to do, into that moment of stillness and being in that space at that moment in time. So yeah, I mean, also meditation comes in so many different forms. I had spoken to someone, they're like, I don't meditate, and then they go, oh, but I like to play the piano, or I forgot what it was exactly, and I was like, oh, well, that's your form of meditation. So technically, you kind of don't fine, we won't call it meditation, but it is something that you kind of do to keep your mind in the space where you're not thinking.
Yeah.
So it's really different for people. I mean, I love meditation. I do all sorts of meditation on YouTube. So Dr. Joe's meditations are great, but yeah, I mean, it really is what resonates with you when it comes down to it. So
Mm.
um, I love those. So I've never read those two books that you mentioned. The
Well,
funny thing is, I have Eckhart Tolle Power now. I literally have a bookcase of just books that I just buy, and and I'm like, I'll get to it. But the funny thing with books with me is, if it doesn't resonate with me at that moment, I won't pick it up. And then a year later, I'll look at it, read it in a day, and understand that I was finally ready to receive whatever message that that was.
yeah.
But two books that I love um, is Meet Your Soul. Is that one book? Highly recommend. She's also my coach, so it actually really helps because we kind of go back and forth between what we practice in the book and what we practice in our coaching. And
Mhm.
I actually have this one, my other favorite book. I know, it's The Alchemist.
Oh,
Uh,
my friends.
I read this book probably about 10 times. And every time I read it, there's always a new message, and there's always a new way of thinking, and just The Alchemist. I love this book.
I'm putting
I have
both
like
of.
notes and everything. I like write notes. It's great.
All right, you hear that? Meet Your Soul and The Alchemist. So while we are on this topic, I wanted to ask you, like, here's my question to you. What is it? How do I say this? What is it? Okay, so since we're on this topic, I wanted to ask you one of my questions.
Okay.
So I want to ask you, what does it mean to you to live in the present moment?
That's a really deep question. Jeez.
We're getting deep here today.
Oh, you are getting deep. Wait, what does it mean to me to be in the present moment?
Yes, to be in the present moment, to live in the present moment, exist in the present moment.
Mm. God, no one's ever asked me that question. That's a really hard question. Okay, I'm going to try to answer this. Um, you know, I live in New York, so we live our lives here, going, commuting, train, walk, talk, all of the things, the doings. I, and anytime I have a chance to just sit there. So one of my favorite things to do, I live in Westchester. So one of my favorite things to do is actually driving my car to the park. And I literally will sit there and watch the sunset. And during the summertime, especially during COVID, when we were working from home, I would end work, go to the park, and just sit there and watch the sunset. And I would be there for about 3, 4 hours just watching the sunset. And it was probably the most relaxing, most beautiful thing for me at that time because you know, I was going through the deepest depths of my healing journey and sitting there watching the sunset and just being. And I literally have videos and pictures of just sunsets. I mean, it's the same sun, it's the same sunset every single day, but I had to take a video or a picture of it because at that moment and at that precise time that I was just sitting there watching it, I felt peace, I felt calm, I felt happy. And it wasn't even like it, it wasn't material. It wasn't like I bought anything. It wasn't anything related to material things. It was literally just me sitting there with myself, listening to music and watching the sunset. And it's probably one of my favorite things to do. It's cold now, so can't really do it right now, but that to me, being in that moment watching that gave me so much peace and sort of gave me a reason to continue on this path and to not give up on myself, because if I could bring more of those loving moments and more grateful moments into my life, then it would have been all worth it for me.
That's beautiful. I love that. And who doesn't love a sunset? And there is a scientific study about sunsets as well. And I
Yeah, sun gazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually a form of meditation.
Yep. Yeah,
So
it is a form of, yeah.
more present than that.
Yeah. Yep. Vitamin D, bring it on. Bring on the vitamin D. I mean, I love a good tan. Uh, yeah.
Same.
Is
Yeah.
it my turn? Do I ask you a question now?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Let's do it.
A question for a question. Okay. So this is a two-part question. Can I ask a two-part question?
You sure can.
Okay. So what is the biggest lesson that you learned? And what is the lesson that you are still learning?
Ooh, you're talking about me going deep. Patty.
Might as
What?
well, wide open.
Okay, I would say the biggest lesson, this is still, these are going to be the same because
Okay.
this is the biggest lesson that I can't say I've learned. I'm getting, I'm getting close, but I cannot confidently say that I've overcome it. But it's something I'm still working on, and that's going to be self-love. Learning to love myself has been just this huge lesson in my life, and I keep getting cycles coming up in this area that are so much challenging me to just love myself. And it sounds so cliche and we see it a lot. And, on my page, I posted this recently, self-love. It's not just a slogan, like love
Yeah.
yourself. It's so deep. And where you lack that self-love in your life, it shows up in so many different forms, usually forms that are very painful. And just trying to learn how to have that confidence in myself and to love the skin I'm in and to not care, how people view me because it's none of my business. And I think that self-love and self-esteem is something that all of humanity suffers with in some form or another. It's really difficult because we live in this world where we're constantly comparing ourselves to the next thing, and there's always going to be someone who's prettier and better and this and that. And I think we just have to come to terms with that and to see our own strengths and our own beauty and, the parts where we're so beautiful, and not to worry about how other people see us because we're not living this life for them. We're living this life for us. And yeah, I'm still learning, and I'm not ashamed to say it. And it's painful sometimes because I invite situations that I prefer not to experience because I'm not giving myself that love that I deserve. But I am getting there. I am practicing
Yes.
self-love daily.
This is a self-love practice right here.
Yes.
Expressing your truth.
Ooh, you put me on the spot with that one. I want to turn it back to you, Patty. How do you feel about this self-love thing?
Self-love.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a lesson that I realized I did not love myself.
Yeah.
Period. I thought I did. I think I when I thought of self-love, I always thought about self-care. I was a self-care queen. I mean, I did it all. I did the baths, I did the oils, I did, the massages and the saunas and the spas and like the body stuff. I went to the gym and all that. But the, it's funny, it takes a while to get to a point where you're like, wait, that's actually not what self-love is.
Yeah.
You know, and how I've been learning self-love for myself is anytime I think of wanting something from someone, I always say to myself, okay, instead of wanting that thing from someone, how can I give that to myself? I'll give
Mm,
you an example. I was journaling one time, and I was journaling about disappointment, and I was journaling about how, people disappoint me, and like I'm so disappointed with X, Y, and Z. Then I stopped for a second. I go, wait, where do I disappoint myself? And I literally wrote 2 pages of things that I disappointed myself in, where I didn't commit to myself or where I promised myself I would do something for myself and I didn't do it. And then I realized that's what self love is, giving yourself what you want others to give you, but you have to be able to give it to yourself. People can only meet you as far as you've met yourself.
yeah.
People can only love you as deep as you've loved yourself. So
Yes.
lately I've been kind of learning that self-love really truly is about looking at what I can give to myself first.
Yeah.
And it's, I I think I'm in a better place at that, because then I it's been a journey for sure, but I'm at a better place when it comes to self-love. You can always love yourself more at the end of the day. There's always going to be a day where you don't feel like you want to give yourself love, but it's true. It's like you give yourself what you want first before you can even ask anyone to give that to you.
Yeah.
So
Nice. So
yeah,
that's
the self-love journey is pretty deep. A lot of us kind of don't go as deep as we should be going,
yeah.
and it's our responsibility. To your point, it is our responsibility. It's us taking the power back to live our lives, to love ourselves, to create a life that we want to live, and to be the person that we want to be.
Yeah. It's so true. And self-love comes in so many different forms. It's disguised in so many different outfits, if you will, that sometimes it's hard for us to recognize. A lot of people don't realize that boundaries is a
Yes.
form of self-love.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
issues with attachment is a form of self-love. Issues with codependency,
Yeah.
there's so many different things that I can throw out there. And like you said, Patty, you have to ask yourself, why am I feeling these things, and really put that in front of you and go to work. um, but the more that you do it, and it really does change your reality, and the people that you invite into your life. And instead of inviting those people that don't respect you, then you invite the people that do. And yeah, and then I love that. And then it makes me want to stay on this course of loving myself and giving myself the things I deserve, and standing up for myself and speaking up for myself.
Hmm.
And just creating the life that I deserve, and not settling for just what people are giving me.
Yeah. Self love is about choosing you all day, every day.
Yes.
Choosing you above, people might think it's selfish, but it's really choosing you above everything else and above everyone else, because the only way you can help others is if you can help yourself.
Yep.
Our
Amen.
cup needs to be full, and then we can share. And
Yeah.
then we can give. And then the funny thing is, so while we're doing this, I feel like this is a form of self-love, at least in my head, because I think, you felt the call to share our experiences and to
Mhm.
kind of plant seeds and like illuminate paths. Like, we're not here to change people's beliefs, but we're here to illuminate a path, to
Yeah.
illuminate this this sort of, I can't even explain what this is, to illuminate just things that we can do for ourselves to be able to live the life that we want to
Mm.
live. And we are a really great example of coming from a place of sadness and hurt and pain, and really looking at ourselves and saying, oh, there's a better way, there's definitely a better way, and for us this is the better way.
Yes.
And if anyone resonates with that, I think it's a beautiful thing that we were able to help someone realize that. And maybe throughout these soul conversations, we could help, you know, if we can help one person throughout these soul conversations, I mean, my heart would be so happy. My heart's happy just talking to you about all this,
Yes. Same.
just talking to someone about all this.
Same. And the reason that I felt so inspired to be here and to shed awareness on all of our experiences and our journey is because our program with Sacred Sister Collective, this program is led by just two of the most amazing.
Kayla and Brookie.
Yes, Kayla and Brooke. I love you too. I got into this program and I had no idea what to expect. And my immediate realization was that I am not alone. It's insane how alone you can feel in your experiences. And you
Mhm.
think, oh, well, nobody quite understands. And some people may not understand what you go through. Our
Mhm.
experiences are so different and there's so much depth to our experiences. But you still can feel so alone. Who would I talk to about this? Will someone even become close, get close to understanding my experience? And I realized that we all connected on just
It was
the
so beautiful.
same thing. We were
Yeah.
all experiencing the same thing in so many different forms. And, it's, I don't want to celebrate that we were all having pain in various parts of our life, but that,
Let's celebrate it.
yeah, but we did. We celebrated it because we came together and we empowered each other and we lifted each other up. And I mean, I didn't value community for a long time. I
Oh
thought
no.
it was lame and dumb, and I was that rebellious. I have a lot of, I have some air in my in my chart. So, that rebellion comes out and I just want it to be a lone wolf. But there really is so much power and community and immersing yourself in a group of people who are on the same path and the same mission.
Mhm.
It was beautiful. It was the best experience of my life.
Yeah.
And I just felt so called and compelled to share and to let people know that you are not alone. We are so happy to talk about our experiences, and we want to relate to you and we want to connect with you. And if anything, I just want, our listeners to know that they are not alone and that that they can overcome.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think I can't even express how grateful I am for the sister collective, because um I to your point, I did not realize how much I needed community, how much I needed sisterhood to that depth and that degree. Because the vulnerability that we all showed for each other, where we showed up for each other and we actually shared with each other, was something I've never experienced before. And to be able to do that and to know that someone understands you and someone understands the path that you're on, and you could really say, I can talk to you about aliens and you're like,
Woo!
yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, I tell you, like, to be able to talk about all of these mystical, beautiful, magical universe that we're in, I'm just so happy that I'm able to talk to someone about it. And the thing is, everyone that I've spoken to in this sisterhood has the same, like, we all align with the same message and um the same conversation. So it's been a really, really amazing experience. um I love being vulnerable now. I love being open. I don't care if anyone thinks I'm crazy. I don't care if anyone thinks I'm like just randomly spitting whatever comes to mind, which I am. But I don't know if anyone's out there, like, we're here to listen. We're here to kind of we are here to share experiences, and we are here to just kind of open minds. I think that's what it really comes down to. Have an open mind when you come here, because we'll be talking about a lot of crazy stuff, a
Yeah.
lot of fun stuff, and a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that we are so passionate about. And
Yeah.
like, we're learning, we're growing, we're, just soaking it all in. And it's just the magical universe that we're in.
So magical. I always say we are a collective. We are all family. And some people get weird. Well, how do is it incest then if No, not like that. We are family. We are all connected. We are all made, just like our family, our DNA matches. We are still all made of the same DNA, that universal DNA. And we need to support each other and to lift each other up and to be there for each other. It's so important. Just because we're all different, we come from different families and cultures and religions, etc. We are still all connected, which makes us family. We got to take care of each other.
Yeah.
I want to go back to sisterhood,
Yes.
because sisterhood is something that I've never experienced before the Sacred Sisterhood Collective. I didn't really like women for a long time in my life because I was bullied by women when I was younger. Um, I was treated badly by women as I grew older. And I don't really feel like I did anything wrong. But, of course, as we grow and as we evolve, I can kind of see where I brought these things upon myself. But it was really difficult for me to form relationships with women. I was that girl who was a tomboy and surrounded herself by dudes. And as I grew older, I would go and play games with the guys and and then would form unhealthy relationships with men because it felt safer than being vulnerable with the women. And I really thought I can go my whole life not having women friends. I'd have like one friend here and there, but it would always fall apart. And I always thought there was something wrong with them. But then I realized, maybe there's something wrong with me. And being a part of the Sacred Sisterhood Collective really just changed my whole perspective and allowed me to just break down all the wounds and the trauma and the pain that I held against this experiences I had with women. And I made so many beautiful relationships and connections with women. and realize that, there is something very powerful there. you know a man, the masculine side just can't, there's certain things that are just not understood. And Patty, you're a great person to speak on this because you have, a lot of this experience with the
Divine
feminine
feminine goddess within all
goddess
of
that
us.
I'm
Oh, I
still
love her
learning.
so much.
Yeah.
I love her so much. It's funny. I actually I was the same way. I like the divine feminine has always been part of, I think, just our culture, because Mother Mary was a divine feminine, Mary Magdalene was a divine feminine, right? But I never truly understood what divine feminine meant until I started working with my coach,
Yeah.
and she was teaching me about the divine feminine, and we within ourselves have both divine feminine and masculine um, energies within us. And the divine feminine has been sort of shut out of society for a very, very long time, and now is, everyone talks about it. This is the rise of the divine feminine, and I feel it in every fiber of my being. This is why I love to work with the goddesses. This is why I think sisterhood is so empowering, because we are all divine feminine goddesses within us. I mean, our true essence and our true authentic self is the divine feminine. And we're here to really balance sort of that masculine energy. I mean, the masculine energy of doing, being, and the patriarchy, versus having our creative, intuitive, loving, nurturing selves, just loving on everybody. It needs to be balanced at the end of the day. One can't live without the other, but we've lived without the divine feminine for a very long time. And like, I love learning about her. I love just using her energies in my ritual work. I mean, I have Goddess Venus right behind me. So, um, but yeah, I think sisterhood has a lot to do with being able to really take that divine feminine and let her rise up. And
Yeah.
having sisters like you guys, I mean, I just saw a post today from Brooke, and I responded, and it felt so good to give her affirmations, and she gave me back affirmations, and I wasn't even expecting her to give me back affirmations. And
Yeah.
just us being able to really rise together and lift each other up in such a beautiful, positive, encouraging way, versus being competitive. Like, competition to me in my head when it comes to women is non-existent. It's non-existent anymore. It just isn't. It used to be, I'm not going to lie, it used to be. But
Mhm.
now that I'm tapped into that divine feminine within myself, I'm able to really truly see women as a beautiful, beautiful goddess at the end of the day. And that's what we are, and that's what we should always strive for.
I love that. So I want to ask you, if someone came to you, a woman comes to you and says, what are 3 things I can do to tap into her, to tap into my divine feminine goddess? What would you say?
Oh, I think the first thing I'm going to say is be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think that is being open and vulnerable to sharing, because that's the one way to connect with others. And that's sort of a really great way to um, really tap into the inner love that you have within you. Let's see, what's another thing? I mean, I love, like, this is going to be a lot very girly when it comes to it. Like, I love adorning myself with like just jewels and like like oils, and just self-care. Self-care is a really great way to invoke your divine feminine within you. That's probably the easiest way to do it. To really care for your body and love your body. And I'm not just talking shower. I'm not just talking, I'm talking like really, really look at yourself and touch your skin and touch your hair and just love on yourself with your perfect imperfections.
Mm,
That's sort of, that's you loving on you, and like really, really showcasing your feminine, and tapping into your feminine, and just being in the flow. So trusting and surrendering, trust and surrender to the universe, because the divine feminine attracts. The divine feminine doesn't chase, she attracts. So the funny thing is, I actually tattoo that on my arm: trust and surrender.
I love that.
So trusting and surrendering to the universe, to the divine timing of everything, to the divine plan is, to me, what it means to be a divine feminine and to tap into her.
I love all of those things. I especially love just, you know, just the self-care and to
Yes.
just, I don't know, just to be able to, you know, touch myself. That, you know what I mean though, like
Yes.
my body, you know,
PG,
whatever
guys.
you like. I mean, that might be a way to tap in as well, but you know, to just like put some lotion and to maybe dress up a little bit,
Yes,
or
yes.
you know, and that's
I
something
mean,
that I
I have a
don't.
crown on my head, for God's sakes.
And I love that. Maybe put some little, I mean, I would never do anything like this, but Patty brought this out of me. Oh,
No,
I'm
I love the crystals. Yes.
you.
Do it up, girl. Do it up. Show those feminine vibes. Bring
Yeah.
it on.
And if I'm honest, that's an area where I have a little bit of detachment, you know, because, and that just falls in line with just me still going through my self love journey and just trying to find comfort with me and find comfort with other women because for a long time I was really weird about, you know, like women hug each other. And if a woman tried to hug me, I'm like,
Oh, we hug each other. We love each other.
yeah. And it was just so uncomfortable. There was such an uncomfortableness. And now I'm learning to just enjoy that connectedness and the closeness and to enjoy that with me as well, you know? And it's okay to run that bubble bath and you know, put on those
Oil up.
candles and oil up and put something silk or satin on and do it up for a night or two or five.
Which might lead us to our, is it our next episode that we're doing this?
Yes. I am so excited about this. So, okay, Patty is so awesome with all of her goddess energy. She was telling me about this. Is it called V steam?
V-steam, baby.
Steam for your yoni.
Mhm.
And I was so intrigued by this. I'm like, I want to try. So I have yet to try it. I ordered one and I thought, you know, we should make an episode around this. Women need to know about the V steam.
Yes.
So,
So
you know,
an
I
episode
thought
coming your way
that
with us
we might
V-steam
not
it up.
we might not record this one, but I thought we'd try it on the podcast, you know, give you the play by play of our experience, giving our yoni this very um how how do we
It's not
describe it?
even a massage. It's a cleansing.
Yeah,
Cleanse that energy because
yeah.
the yoni holds a lot of trauma and a lot of stuck energy. And so we need to energetically cleanse it and purify it.
And that's what really got my attention. You know, a nice yoni steam sounds nice and all, but I, you know, personally, I carry a lot of sexual trauma, and it does cause a little bit of a block for me. You know, I feel that I can connect very easily in a lot of different parts of my life. Like I love to connect with people, but I would like to get to a place where this is very unfiltered, sex feels more meaningful, you know. When you've gone through a lot of abuse, you kind of learn to shut yourself, I'm sorry, sexual abuse, you learn to kind of just shut yourself off when someone is being physical with you, and it's really difficult to find your way back to that place where you're really truly connected with that person that you're connecting with, and to truly be present in this moment. And you know, it's very difficult when you like someone or you love someone and you want to express yourself in that very intimate way, but you're just so shut off. So I am hoping to create a very beautiful ritual around this V steam and to finally release all of that trauma and to just have beautiful, connected sex.
Yeah. I mean, to give yourself the permission to be able to open yourself up in that way.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah. So
it's beautiful.
stay tuned. That is coming up next.
May not be the next one, but it might be the one after that.
That might be a lot. Let's just go right into the yoni.
Let's actually know what. Let's do it. Let's just go right into the yoni. Might as well.
Yes. Okay, so I feel like you owe me a question now.
Frozen.
Oh. All right, y'all, we're at the end of our episode today. We have so much enjoyed having you here and listening to us. And I hope that, you know, some of the stuff resonated with you. We are completely here for you. And yeah, we look forward. All right, so we have time for one last question. And this one is to you, Patty. I have to come up with a fun one for you.
Okay, fun question. I like this. Okay.
Yes. If you can be any exotic, or let's say identify, what exotic animal do you identify with most?
Unicorn. I know. It's not real. Although, isn't there like a country, is it Denmark or Sweden or Switzerland? Their national animal is a unicorn.
I have
so
heard.
They do exist. So I'm going to stick with that. It's a unicorn because I do really, truly, truly believe in the magic of the universe.
Same. I love unicorns as well. When you said that,
I know. Wait, your journal.
Yes. I have unicorn everything. I'm not at my home today, but next time we record in Jenna's home,
okay, yes.
I will have to do a little display of the crazy unicorn collection. But there's a lot going on. Okay. The love is real.
Unicorn, yes, unicorn.
Yes.
Can I ask one last question?
Why not?
Okay. It won't be fun though, or it might be fun. I don't know. It's not really a fun one.
Dude.
What's one thing that you want kind of everyone to kind of know about how it's kind of going to unfold as the episodes come on?
All right. If I could leave y'all with something before we part today, I would say, and this isn't so much into how the episodes will unfold, because who knows how these episodes will unfold, but you know, our main mission here is to just bring awareness on you and your soul journey and your evolvement and your ascendance, and you're just coming into you. But I want to say that humanity matters, and compassion matters, and love matters, and all these things that may seem like they're put on the back burner right now because of the COVID, you know, just because they're distancing us. I want to speak on sovereignty for a minute. You govern yourself. And no matter what is going on in your outside world, in the world, does not dictate how you live your reality from the inside. So I don't know, I just feel this strong call to tell you that, you know, you are in control of your own reality, and don't get sucked into what you're seeing on the outside, because that does not control you. You have control over you. And, you know, times are changing, and it's not something to fear, but it's something to, you know, this is the time to really begin your journey, to look within and love yourself and love one another, because we need to be more connected now more than ever. All right.
I think that was perfect.
Thanks, Patty.
That was on point. That was exactly what I echo.
Thank you.
That's perfect.
We are at the end of our time today. I hope that you have enjoyed Soul Conversations with Jenna and Patty. That's you.
You're frozen again.
You froze. Jenna and
Patty.
We love ya and we appreciate you.
Sending you so much love, light, and gratitude.
Look forward to next time.
Thank you for coming.